Hunger Games level of anxiety. We'll tell you why a union representing public servants alleges that's how it feels working for the feds right now as they take to the streets to rally for job protection. Good afternoon. This is CTV News at 5. I'm Stefan Keys. This afternoon, dozens of public servants marched to Parliament Hill with their plight. The Professional Institute of the Public Service of Canada now describes working for the federal government as a place plagued with anxiety. The threat of job cuts has workers feeling as though they're competing for the jobs they already have. CTV's Caitlin Wilson was out covering the rally earlier and joins us live in studio with more. Caitlin.
Yes, Stefan, unions say workforce adjustment notices have gone out across multiple departments this week as part of the government's broader effort to reduce spending. But workers are pushing back, saying the cuts don't make sense. Dozens of federal scientists and researchers marched to Parliament Hill today, taking aim at the government's cuts to the public service. According to several unions, around 5,400 notices have been issued to employees at Statistics Canada, Shared Services Canada, Public Services and Procurement Canada, the Treasury Board of Canada Secretariat, along with Global Affairs Canada. The Professional Institute of the Public Service of Canada says public servants are being forced to compete for their own jobs while the government continues to spend money on consultants.
It's not like the Hunger Games for them. They're now going to have to compete with their fellow colleagues for jobs. And what's going to happen, you're going to have less people doing the work, which is going to affect service Canadians. I have real fears about the quality of the data that's going to be produced because it's going to be the mathematicians, the methodologists, the IT professionals that are there for that, and there's going to be less doing that work.
The union argues consultants cost significantly more than in-house employees, adding the cuts could weaken everything from cybersecurity to evidence-based decision-making. The cuts are part of the federal government's plan over the next 4 years to eliminate 28,000 public service jobs and find $60 billion in savings. Stefan?
All right, CTV's Caitlin Wilson reporting live for us. Thank you, Caitlin. Breaking news, the entire length of the Rideau Canal skateway is now open after the temporary warm weather closure a week ago. NCC maintenance teams were out on the skateway earlier today, taking advantage of the cold temperatures to remove the snow and flood the ice surface. The world's largest skateway reopened at 4 p.m. It had been closed since January 8th due to mild temperatures and rain. Meanwhile, many in this region are still digging out after the biggest snowstorm of the season. It was a tough one for crews as well because of the cold temperatures and a flash freeze the night before. CTV's Natalie Van Roy is live on location with more. Natalie.
Well, Stefan, it was a system that went right across southern Ontario before arriving here in the nation's capital, where it brought tons of snow. And if you had to go out today, you saw it, people out clearing snow and shoveling, and plows out as well. The city of Ottawa says it's going to be a multi-day event for this cleanup. Now, the snowstorm bringing 21 centimeters of snow to the nation's capital, challenging for the city that had crews working around the clock. And the city of Ottawa says some areas are still snow covered and the cleanup will take longer than normal.
It was an all hands on deck response. It was a persistent storm with heavy snowfall all through the day. So we had all of our resources out really just focusing on our main roads, our sidewalks, and our winter cycling network before transitioning to residential plowing.
Emergency officials say make sure to also check natural gas meters and external appliance vents that they're clear of snow and ice. And Good Samaritan Charles Gauthier spent hours clearing the snow on Friday. Gauthier helping out friends after Ottawa got blasted. He says the cost of living crisis makes it more challenging for people to afford snow removal services. Now look, as we're standing here, we see a plow out here on the road. You'll see these plows for the next few days. Right now, they are still clearing in residential areas. We heard from the city. The next step will be actually trucking the snow to other areas in Ottawa. And if you are curious, many are wondering where are the plows and when will they get to their neighborhood. Something to keep in mind is the city of Ottawa is also looking at a new system as well to track with GPS the plows so that you could log on and see where they're at. Now, they do have that internally available for staff, but they said they're looking at it for a public system as well, which is very similar to Toronto. Stefan.
All right, and I hear we won't get that until next year, probably, or next winter season. Thank you for this, Natalie. Prime Minister Mark Carney says his government has reached a landmark deal with China, dropping tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles in exchange for greatly reduced or eliminated tariffs on Canadian canola, seafood, and peas.
It's expected that within 3 years, this agreement will drive considerable Chinese investment in Canada's auto sector, creating good careers in Canada and accelerating our progress towards a net zero future and the auto industry of the future.
Canada will allow up to 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles into Canada at a 6.1% tariff. That's down from the current 100%. In exchange, China will slash its duties on Canadian canola seed from 85% to 15% by March 1st. Canada also expects China will drop all tariffs on canola meal, lobsters, crabs, and peas. Turning now to a major decision today from the Federal Court of Appeal. It has upheld a lower court ruling stating the Liberal government did not have reasonable grounds to invoke the Emergencies Act to quell the trucker convoy protests some 4 years ago. CTV's Kimberly Fowler's here with more details. Kimberly.
Well, Stefan, reaction is coming in from today's ruling. The Federal Court of Appeal says the then Trudeau government's decision to use the Emergencies Act in 2022 was unwarranted. For about 3 weeks in early 2022, downtown Ottawa was filled with protesters, including many large trucks that blocked streets around Parliament Hill. Now, the Emergencies Act allowed for temporary measures like regulating and banning public assemblies and a direction to freeze bank accounts. A criminologist, Michael Kempa, says the ruling makes it clear that the standards for invoking the Emergencies Act are incredibly high.
What it means is some people may now have grounds to bring forward more effectively lawsuits against the government. And it also will come back to the major point, which everybody has been in agreement, all the experts that have ever spoken on these matters, including at the Commission of Inquiry, and we've submitted submissions to the court, that the Emergencies Act itself is very out of date, drafted in the 1980s, and requires a total overhaul.
Now, in 2022, there were other protests with big rigs blocking key border crossings to the U.S., including routes at Windsor, Ontario, and Coutts, Alberta. The Federal Court of Appeal's decision upholds a lower court's ruling from 2 years ago when a federal court judge found the Liberal government's decision to invoke the act did not bear the hallmarks of reasonableness, justification, and transparency. Now, the Public Safety Minister's office says it's reviewing today's ruling and assessing its next steps. Steph.
All right, CTV's Kimberly Fowler reporting live for us. Thank you for the update, Kimberly. Demonstrators held a rally in downtown Ottawa this afternoon in solidarity with the people of Iran. It comes amidst the violent crackdown on protests in that country. Today's rally ended in front of the U.S. Embassy with demonstrators calling on Donald Trump and the U.S. to push back against the actions of the Iranian regime. There have been growing calls for international assistance to topple the regime. More than 2,000 people have been killed since the unrest in Iran began, including a Canadian. In other news, Ottawa Senators Captain Brady Tkachuk is giving back and lacing up with local kids today in the capital.
That's so awesome. That's so impressive. Nice job. He didn't even ask you. You enjoying it, though?
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
At the Rink of Dreams at City Hall, dozens of kids got to skate with their heroes since Captain Brady Tkachuk for Brady's Skate for Kids, an annual event hosted by the captain and his wife, Emma. Their foundation helps to raise dollars to help support BGC Ottawa, which provides free child and youth programs across the city.
For me to have an opportunity to give back to the next generation of kids and create those memories, create something that they might carry on for the rest of their lives is something that means a lot to me and something that my wife and I are very passionate about.
It means that I can have a possession of playing on a competitive hockey team when I'm older and having a figure where I can look up to.
Other Sens players were on hand as well, along with Ottawa Charge captain Brianne Jenner and teammates.
Get yourself a light snow shovel with a long ergonomic handle.
Coming up on CTV News at 5, as we continue to dig out from the winter storm, experts are reminding people about the importance of safely shoveling the snow. And our Jackie Perez is joining us live in studio for our first look at the forecast. Jackie.
Well, thanks so much, Stefan. The good news is we got a bit of a break today in terms of the snow, but we will see the return of this, which could be in the next few hours. Here's a closer look. Parts of Kingston and Bevel will start to see this closer to around 8 o'clock, and then overnight we could see an additional 3 to 5 centimeters of snow moving through eastern Ontario. Overnight lows about -14, so still quite chilly out there, but things are going to warm up. We're getting to a daytime high of 1 degree for our Saturday. These details and a look at your long-term forecast in just a bit. Stefan.
Thank you, Jackie. We're taking a live check on the traffic right now. We're seeing eastbound lanes of the Queensway fairly light this hour, only a 10-minute delay from the 416 to Nicholas. 417 westbound seeing a 25-minute delay from Nicholas to Pinecrest, and the 174 east 10-minute delay from the split to Jeanne d'Arc. You're watching CTV News at 5.
How's that?
Yeah.
All right. Let's rip.
Welcome back to CTV News at 5. There's plenty of reaction coming in today to Canada's new trade deal with China. As you heard earlier in the broadcast, Canada is dropping tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles in exchange for greatly reduced or eliminated tariffs on Canadian canola, seafood, and peas. Today's radio question of the day is asking, should Canada have struck this deal with China?
This is a big deal for a lot of Canadian farmers, because my conversation to my banker is going to be better today than it was yesterday, because there's a little more certainty, and that's actually having a market to deliver our crop to.
Christy Cameron is here with more on this topic, and it's certainly a hot one for today.
And you heard Jennifer, who is a canola farmer in the Renfrew area, very passionate and very candid, I would say, on the show today. She really talked about how difficult it is for farmers to weather not only the regular weather, but the geopolitical storms, because, you know, they're out there, they're trying to do their best, and then you get caught in the middle of something like this, and it can be very damaging to your industry. So she was welcoming this today. And it was pretty mixed on the text board, I would say, Steph. Some people were really not loving the idea that we're cozying up to China, given the frosty relationship. They're worried about letting things thaw out because of the inherent risk in getting involved with China. And others were saying, no, it's worth the risk. We've got to do this for our economy. And also, some people were just excited about the prospect of having more competition when it comes to the car market with EVs, because these Chinese EVs can be significantly cheaper. Of course, it depends on which ones are approved and which ones make it to market here in Canada, but some listeners just like options.
Yeah, for the consumer standpoint, we know that competition is healthy, but we did hear from the Premier today as well, who prior to this trip asked the Prime Minister not to necessarily make concessions when it came to tariffs on EVs.
What a time to live in Ontario. Lots of reaction today.
Yeah. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
You can join the conversation, leave a comment through the Talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app. You can listen live to Christy Cameron on News Talk 580 CFRA weekdays from 2 to 6 and watch Christy's segments anytime on YouTube. Subscribe to the News Talk 580 CFRA page. And with more snow on the way tonight, the Ottawa Heart Institute is reminding residents the risks that can come with shoveling the snow. Cardiac events are linked with the high-intensity workout, which experts say can be extremely harmful to the heart if not done properly, along with the type of snow and shovel being used and pace or speed of the activity. Experts say it's important to take lots of breaks if you're out shoveling and to be mindful of the signs of a heart attack.
Get yourself a light snow shovel with a long ergonomic handle so you can push the snow along, and that's easier than the scoop and lift.
The Institute says those with a family history of heart disease or known risk factors should avoid physical overexertion and arrange for someone else to do the snow removal.
Dad, can you just straighten out your legs there?
Impossible.
Coming up on CTV News at 5, you may remember this viral video. We'll tell you what WestJet is doing now after hearing from passengers. We'll be right back. Here's what you can watch tonight later on CTV E-Talk at 7, an episode of Big Bang Theory. Then Celebrity Wheel of Fortune starts at 8. We end things before national news with Boston Blue at 10. Now for another check on the weather forecast, Jackie's joining us live in studio, and the canal's open, Jackie.
Really looking forward to this. I wanted to see how much of the canal was open, and pretty much the whole length is open, including Dow's Lake. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass sky cam. The cool temperatures sitting at -15, helping with that ice on the skateway. Wonderful view of downtown Ottawa. Don't quite see much in terms of light flurries or snow moving through, but this will change later this evening. Starting as early as about 9 p.m. we're going to start to see the light flurries moving through, especially around the valley and along the seaway. It's going to take us into the overnight hours, into the early parts of Saturday, where we will see a mixed bag of wintry mix. So parts of Kingston could even see some freezing rain by the time we get to Saturday evening. And that's because temperatures, luckily, are going to start to warm up. We're getting to a daytime high about 1 degree in the afternoon, but really the chance of flurries will be throughout our Saturday. As we look towards friends in the seaway, -8, periods of snow is our overnight forecast. Daytime high 1 degree with a few flurries. And then friends in the valley, very similar conditions, still pretty chilly as well. -14 the overnight, daytime high sitting around the freezing mark. Taking a look, though, from Saturday into our Sunday, the wintry mix will carry us through. Not quite as much as what we saw for Saturday, but Sunday we'll still see the light flurries lingering as we head into Monday, where, yes, there is the possibility that we could see more snow on the way. Early forecast indicating 3 to 5 centimeters. But with this returns, look at that overnight low, Stefan. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're going to be in those minus double-digit temperatures. So are we going to see that canal close? I don't think anytime soon. So that's the good news. Are you ready to tackle your home projects? We'll find hundreds of trusted experts at the Ottawa Home and Remodeling Show on from January 29th to February 1st at the EY Centre. We have your chance to win big. You could win 4 tickets to the show, plus 1 lucky viewer will win the grand prize, a package that includes $2,500 in gift cards, 4 tickets to the Ottawa Home and Remodeling Show, and a meet and greet with Sarah Richardson. All you have to do is head over to ctvottawa.ca to enter now. Good luck. And Stefan, we were talking and very excited about the canal opening today, and it's looking like we're going to get quite the stretch for the next several days.
Sounds good, Jackie. Thank you. And here's a look at the stories you're checking out right now on ctvnewsottawa.ca. If you are a public transit user, I definitely want you to go to our homepage and click on this story. OC Transpo canceling 255 weekday trips amid bus maintenance struggles. We know they have an aging fleet. They've been having to cancel trips, so they're going to preemptively cancel some trips temporarily and add them back once the fleet service improves. Coming up for us here on CTV News at 5. An important reminder about what to check outside your home after a major snowfall. Stay with us.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, Your Morning Ottawa, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass sky cam. Temperature right now, -15. And here's what we're working on for 6 o'clock.
I have real fears about the quality of the data that's going to be produced, because it's going to be the mathematicians, the methodologists, the IT professionals that are there for that, and there's going to be less doing that work.
Dozens of federal workers marched to Parliament Hill today, protesting cuts to multiple departments and taking aim at the government's plan to make deep cuts to the public service.
It was an all-hands-on-deck response. It was quite a persistent storm with heavy snowfall all through the day.
Cleaning up after the storm, the city digs out after the biggest winter storm of the season blanketed the capital in 21 centimeters of snow, and there's more expected tonight.
For me to have an opportunity to give back to the next generation of kids and create those memories, create something that they might carry on for the rest of their lives is something that means a lot to me.
Sends Captain Brady Kachuk out on the ice, lacing up with local kids to help raise money for youth programs across the city. Now for the final 5 other stories we're following today. A Canadian music icon is getting set to perform here in the capital in just a few hours from now.
that I'll give so much more than I get. I just haven't met you yet.
Michael Bublé is taking the stage at the Canadian Tire Centre as part of the arena's 30th anniversary celebrations. Tonight's show kicks off a weekend of festivities to mark the milestone, but what a treat to hear the Canadian crooner. It was a frustrating and slow commute for some LRT passengers this morning, and that's because of a stopped train. It impacted service at Lyon, Pimsey, and Bayview stations, where trains were only operating at the eastbound platforms. The train was stalled for more than 40 minutes, leading to backups and delays. It has since been cleared. Enbridge Gas issued a reminder to homeowners and residents to make sure natural gas meters and appliance vents stay clear of snow and ice. The company says failing to do so increases the risk of a carbon monoxide leak, reduced reliability of heating systems, and delayed access in case of an emergency. Enbridge says ice and snow should only be removed by brush or hand.
Dad, could you just straighten out your legs there?
Impossible.
A change of course from WestJet. The Canadian airline is grounding changes to its cabin configuration after some negative feedback. That online video got a lot of attention earlier this month, showing the cramped leg space in the new densified cabins, where passengers said they felt uncomfortable but also unsafe. WestJet says following a review of the data and the feedback from guests and staff, the airline will return to its standard seating arrangement for economy cabins by removing one row of seats.
Who hits it high in the air to deep center? It is gone!
It's not what fans wanted, but Bo Bichette's time with the Toronto Blue Jays has come to an end as the shortstop has signed with the Mets. The deal is reportedly for 3 years at $126 million, with opt-outs after years 1 and 2. That is CTV News at 5. I'm Stefan Keys. Thanks for watching. The early edition of CTV National starts now.